Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a request. I have been asked to share with you guys my entire handmade wardrobe. So it is no secret that I love vintage fashion and I choose to style myself after the 1940s and 50s every single day. So those are the kinds of garments that I own and the kinds of garments that I make for myself. So it's going to be kind of fun to look through my clothes and see how many of them are handmade. I haven't really counted before, but I know a lot of them are, so it'll be fun to see that. And I'm only going to focus on cold weather garments in this video because we're coming into fall and winter right now here in the US, and so the cold weather garments are the ones that I have out and accessible. And I suspect that I have too many handmade garments to do all in one video, so probably this is going to be a two-part series, I guess. So I'm not sure yet how I'm going to divide them up, but we'll see as I go along. So without further ado, let's get to it. So this first one on my list is this sort of hybrid 1940s, 1950s cotton flannel pinafore. I used the McCall's blouse pattern that you saw to draft the bodice and the simplicity reproduction pattern to make the skirt. I did draft the turn down flaps on the pockets for the skirt, and I decided to use some self-covered buttons to close the bodice and to decorate the pockets on the skirt as well. The skirt length used to be a bit longer, much more of a 1950s length, but then I was unfortunately forced to trim it a bit shorter, and now it's more of a mid-40s length, which I don't love with the combination of the 40s length and the 1950s fullness, but I still think that it's cute and that it's wearable, and I still really like it. And this blouse is a purchased item, not one that I made. This next one is a self-drafted 1940s wool skirt. I used an A-line skirt pattern that I had to draft the yoke for this skirt, which I cut on the bias just for some fun play with the plaid, and I pleated the bottom, and I added a cute little pocket to the yoke and closed the side with buttons. The blouse is the same one that you just saw, and the sweater vest is one that I knit myself from a 1940s pattern, and I made it in 100% wool. This 1950s dress is made from some cotton shirting that I got at a garage sale. I wanted it to be long sleeves, so I chose this 1930s reproduction sleeve pattern, View D, and added that to the butterick pattern. Because of the narrow shape of the sleeve cap, it was a little tight across my shoulders and I had really poor range of motion, so I drafted some underarm gussets and added them, and now it fits much better. I made this cotton flannel pencil skirt out of that same reproduction simplicity pattern. It used to be longer, much closer to the length in the pattern, but I didn't think that that suited my frame very well, so I wound up shortening it, and now I feel like it just doesn't look quite right because it's too pencil-y to be 1940s, but it's too short to be 1950s, but I love that plaid. The sweater is one that I designed and knit myself this past year. I modeled it after a lot of 1940s Fair Isle sweaters, and I made it out of a wool and acrylic blend. I made this entire next ensemble. The skirt was from a late 1940s reproduction pattern. It is a wool blend, I believe. It used to be a bit longer, much closer to an appropriate late 1940s or 1950s length, but once again, I was forced to shorten it recently, and now it's sort of a weird hybrid that I don't love, which we already talked about. The dicky is from a 1940s reproduction pattern, and the sweater is from a 1950s pattern that I made in 100% wool. I took this McCall's blouse pattern from the 1990s and I drafted the yoke and the gathered front and the Peter Pan collar, and I love the effect of that. I also love the print of this fabric. The print makes me think a lot more of winter, but the weight of the fabric, because it's just like a quilting cotton, and the short sleeves make it much more summer appropriate, so it doesn't get worn as often as I would like, but I still love it. And look at those perfectly matching vintage buttons. You guys are probably getting tired of seeing this reproduction simplicity skirt pattern, but I made it once again in some lovely cotton flannel, and this time I drafted a scalloped turn-down flap on the pockets and did a little embroidery on them, but unfortunately the waistband is a bit big, so I can only wear it with like a bulky sweater tucked in and a belt, and even then it's a little iffy, so it might need to be set aside one of these days. The sweater was actually my first ever knitting project. I made it from a free 1940s inspired pattern that I found online, and I made it in 100% acrylic. The pattern that I used is a modern pattern, obviously, so it doesn't have a lot of those fun vintagey touches that I love so much. And unfortunately, it was an early project of mine and I didn't do a very good job with the fit. So when I turn sideways, you can see that the waistline is really angled and it should not be that way. And I can feel it when I wear it, so it's kind of uncomfortable. This cotton flannel blouse is one that I made quite a while ago. I do not even know how many years it's been, and it's getting really faded and really worn, but I still wear it for like workwear situations. The pants I made a few years ago as well, and they are cotton corduroy. I accidentally cut, I think it's the back pant pieces upside down on the corduroy's nap. So it's not super noticeable, but it's kind of weird. And also, I made them in a size too big, so one of these days I might take them apart and see if I can cut them down a bit. I made these 1950s pants from a true 1950s pant pattern. I used a quilting cotton, which is a little lightweight for pants, and the knees get really bagged out pretty much as soon as I sit down, and then they're somewhat unflattering, so I need to figure out a way around that for future projects. The top that I'm wearing with these pants, I drafted from the McCall's sewing pattern that I showed you. It is a 1950s inspired all-in-one sleeve mock neck made in some cotton rib knit. This next one is actually a thrift flip. So the blouse is the same one that you've seen already. I did not make it. The sweater vest that I'm wearing used to be a cardigan. It's 100% cotton, and I absolutely love that Fair Isle design on the front. But at some point I got ink on the sleeves of this cardigan, so I decided to take a scissors to it and remove the sleeves, and then I used the sleeve cuffs to create the ribbing that I stitched around the arm openings of my sweater vest. And then I also shortened the length by a few inches by cutting off the ribbing at the bottom of the sweater and then trimming the next few inches up on the sweater itself and reattaching that ribbing to my new length. So here is another 1950s inspired mock neck knit top that I made. I used some vintage knit fabric that I have. I don't know what it's made of, but some sort of synthetic fleecy stuff. Since I was very limited on yardage, I made it into this little cropped length with a waistband and with cuffs. This sweater makes me feel like I should be hanging out in a ski chalet in 1950. Well, I think that is about all the time I have for this video. It's getting a little bit long, and I'm like halfway through my cold weather wardrobe of handmade garments. I believe we will see as I work on the next video. But that one's not going to be coming out for a few weeks or a month or so because I have some other projects that I need to focus on in the meantime. But when it does come out, I will link it in the description box below. So this was really fun for me to look through my garments and see how many of them are handmade. It's kind of been my goal to have most of my garments to be handmade, and I would love for it to get to the point of being like 90% handmade, and I'm not there yet, but I am over half, and so that's been fun for me to see. So thank you guys so much for watching. I would love to hear down in the comments which pieces or outfits were your favorites, and also whether or not you guys like to sew your own garments. It's just fun to get to know you all. So thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next time.